This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. We want to just say thank you for making ATL Day Ones your first listen of the day. And remember, guys, wherever you download your podcast, we are free. And wherever you download your podcast, make sure you give us a 5-star review, because we just know how we get down, and we know you are rocking with us because you guys have continued to show that throughout this entire run of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And we just want to say thank you for that, because we're up over 2,100 subscribers at this moment. And for the people who listen on the audio side, make sure you go to and tell somebody and tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, because that's the old school way. We're gonna talk about the Atlanta Falcons, Drake London. Obviously, there are a lot of other rookie wide receivers. We're gonna talk about it's lit season, T. We got a list for you. I think I'm gonna be able to explain how Drake London should be much higher than where he is on that particular list. And next, as far as coming up with Freddie Freeman, we kind of teased this yesterday on social media. Freddie Freeman fires his agent. What does that mean? We'll explain all of that. And last but not least, and for the culture, I remember how I felt when I saw Boomerang come out. We're gonna revisit that because it's a special day today, and we'll get into all of that. But before we get to that, Tenitra, Batiste, the Atlanta Falcons obviously are in a dead period right now, and we know at this time of year where all these lists start rolling out. Well, CBSSports.com, they continued this trend, and it kind of caught my eye because they went through they listed the top 5 rookie wide receivers from a production standpoint, and obviously the 5th one is the 5th least, and they think that the first one is going to be the one that's going to be the most productive wide receiver. And to be honest with you, T, Drake London came in at 5th, and one of the main reasons why was because he said that he wasn't too keen on the Falcons quarterback situation. Sure. And Marcus Mariota, the projected starter, and potentially, possibly Desmond Ridder could fall into that starting category. But for now, he's the backup. And I kind of get that. I understand it. But when you think about some of the other guys, the guy that's right above him, let's just talk about him, Garrett Wilson, for the New York Jets.
Yeah.
The dude, Zach Wilson, he knows Zach Wilson is the quarterback too, right? So I have all the questions in the world about what Zach Wilson is as a pro. And I know I questioned him when the Jets drafted him, and he shot up draft boards, and people were fawning all over him. I was like, wait a minute, where did this guy come from? So I'm not a believer in him, and I think I'm right, at least in the first year. But, I think that, Drake London is a guy that has potential to be very productive in this Falcons offense in his first year.
Yeah, and I can agree with you on that one. I think in looking, I'm going to pull a Jarvis at the trusty list from CBSSports.com. And as I was looking through that list, I thought the same. First of all, easily, I think it's a no-brainer to jump him above Garrett Wilson, Drake London alone. But in addition, if you're even comparing those tandems, the combos rather, whether that's Mariota to London or Ridder to London versus Wilson to Wilson, I think to me that's a no-brainer that he should be at a minimum in the 4 position. And then you look at the 3rd position and you see Chris Olave there. Now, I will say this. I'm probably okay with him being behind Chris Olave because I do expect that if Jameis Winston returns, the Saints do have a solid O-line, even though they've lost an O-lineman here and there to retirement in the last couple of seasons. But I still feel like overall, coupled with the fact that eventually Alvin Kamara will come back for the Saints and play and probably be the Alvin Kamara we know, if you will. So they, I think, just have a more potent run game. And if their run game sets up their passing game, or if Jameis Winston even looks like good Jameis, I do believe that's probably what puts Chris Olave ahead of him. Talking productivity, remember, not
Right.
necessarily quality of player. And then I would say the same for Treylon Burks. Now, I get it. You know, they have potentially a similar QB situation the Titans do that the
Ryan
Falcons have.
Tannehill.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, so right, exactly. So you go with the Ryan Tannehill, Marcus Mariota kind of apples to apple situation,
Yeah.
and then same thing
Same
with
guy,
Malik
maybe.
Willis. Right, and we don't know what the Titans will necessarily get out of Malik Willis any more than you know what the Falcons are going to get out of Desmond Ridder. So again, I'm okay with. To me, those two could have been 3-2, 2-3, right? As
Right.
far as the ranking goes. Sky Moore, you got to put him number one. Not necessarily because Sky Moore is the most amazing wide receiver in this rookie class, but again, because of who he has throwing to him. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
that's what that's about. So I'm okay with the list as far as like the number one player, right? And
Right.
even if they would have put Chris Olave at 2, I would have been perfectly okay with that. But on the same token, I can agree with you. Whereas with all things considered, when you look at the total package for all of those offenses, clearly there's no reason Drake London should have been in that 5th spot.
No doubt about it. And I'll tell you exactly why. And it has to do with one of his teammates. But before we get there, T, tell them about Sports Card and what the folks that are jumped on board with ATL Day Ones. Tell them what's so special about what Sports Card got going on for the show.
Yeah, so it's interesting because, you know, we are learning and growing just like you guys as far as all of these options out there for us, right? And this is one of them. This is one of them indeed, where sports cards. And I've had a sports card here or there, but never can I tell you that I imagined that it would be something I could be working on through an app. So the Sports Card Investor app, that's the hobby's most powerful resource. So if you are a collector, this is indeed for you. It's a fun thing to do. It's completely free. So if you love the free, you absolutely love this as well. And it can be for the casual card collector like me. I've got 1 or 2, or if you're someone who's really invested in that, definitely breakout stars or prospects debuting. You want to check out the value of that card. Here's where you would go. You want to look at nostalgia. Old players, maybe. You know who I think of, because I just went to a Braves game just last week. If you wanted to go out and get cards for Glavine or Schmoltzy or Maddox, this would be the place for you to find out exactly what you can get for those cards. You can find out about great deals on your favorite players as well. So please, when you have a chance, download the Sports Card Investor app today. It's available again for the free in the Google Play and Apple app stores. You can go to sportscardinvestor.com/locked-on, and you can get more information about what I think is going to be a really cool app that you can add to your phone.
No doubt about it. And I'm going to give you some more information because, like I mentioned before, you got started. The reason why I know for a fact that Drake London would be more productive than at least those first 2 guys, because I'm not sold on Jameis Winston. Just remember, Sean Payton is no longer calling plays. So that it's going to have to be a show and prove situation for the New Orleans Saints. And the Zach Wilson, that guy.
Oh, no question.
I'm not sold on him as well. So,
Yeah.
But the main reason is because the young guy that came in last year, Kyle Pitts, number 4 overall pick for the Atlanta Falcons last year, came and led the team in targets and yards, and he just absolutely went crazy in his rookie year as a tight end. And I think he's going to draw a lot of attention because let's be honest, because they have teams have film on Kyle Pitts, and they're not going to necessarily really know how Drake London is going to transition.
Sure.
And I think that in the red zone, once they get down in the red zone, you're going to see London get some opportunities on some one-on-ones against some guys that he may have a favorable matchup against, because he's a 6'4" guy, basketball frame, really good talent, really athletic. So I think that for those reasons right there, I think that's the reason why I think I would put Drake London at least at the number 3 spot and bump those guys down. But yes,
no question. And I think you make a great point about also the tandems or what you have around them, which is why I said when I look at an Olave, for example, that's why I'm like, well, in addition, and you make the great point. So I just want to piggyback on what you said. And it all depends, right? Because if, for example, there is a Michael Thomas still there on the other side for the Saints, then that does bode well for a Jameis Winston and for Chris Olave to be more productive, because
And
he'll
Jarvis
probably.
Landry's down there too now, so he's gonna
Exactly.
get a little
So when
attention
you
too.
start,
Yeah,
right. So when you start looking at the tandems as well, I still would probably lean in the direction of what Chris Olave's numbers could possibly look like, especially if Michael Thomas is double teamed, and you could make the same case for Sky Moore, because when you look at the weapons that the Chiefs potentially
and he
would
got
have,
that dude, like you mentioned before. He got that dude throwing the
right?
rock.
They might, right? Because they might not have Tyreek Hill. I'll be darned if they don't still have the guy who used to throw to Tyreek Hill. So that's
Indeed.
probably what I would say. But I agree with you wholeheartedly, Jarvis. There's no reason that Drake London should not be in the top 3 of that or any list of what productivity will be for a rookie wide receiver in the NFL this season.
Speaking of rookies, how about this? Rhyne Howard, our own Atlanta Dream Rhyne Howard, made the WNBA All-Star team as a reserve. But unfortunately, things went a little down south on the court because Howard and the Dream lost to the Washington Mystics 92-74.
And I would say with Ryan, first of all, congratulations to her. What an amazing accomplishment. And it's interesting because when the All-Star list was released for the starters last week, I was like, yep. And can't wait to see Ryan's name when they release the reserves. And here she is. So congratulations to her as a rookie. But on that same token, you look at that and you say, but teams also know how to defend, because they know she is still the primary target. Now, don't get me wrong. There have been players like Cheyenne Parker that has come in, and Cheyenne has had an amazing season thus far. And also, Ari McDonald off the bench has been tremendous for them. I've been excited about just seeing her because, of course, she was injured last year, and we really didn't get to see what she would have brought to the table for the Dream. But the bottom line is the offense is still primarily running through Ryan. And if you can neutralize any of those other players that I just mentioned, 9 times out of 10, you're going to win. So I just think it's one of those things where once that team starts to gel, and once Tanisha Wright starts to get her philosophy of two-way play, because that 92, hey, that's one of the highest game point totals of the season against the Dream. I think that once Tanisha starts to get everybody in rhythm in what their responsibility is and what their role is with that team, I think we're going to see better. But again, Jarvis, can't be mad because they've got just one more win to get between now and whenever. And they're still going to be where they were at the very end of last season. So shout out to the Dream. Keep doing your thing. I'm sure you guys will bounce back soon.
Well, it looks like Freddie Freeman didn't shout out his agent. He sent him a nice little message saying, "You are fired, my friend. My goodness, we no longer need your services." Oh, my goodness. Freddie Freeman sending a message to his agent? What kind of message is he sending to the Braves? We'll talk about that next, right here on ATL Day One's part of Locked On.
Welcome back to ATL Day Ones. I am Tenitra Batiste. This is my boy Jarvis Davis, and we appreciate you guys coming back to talk to us because like we told you on social yesterday, there was going to be some tea, and we got some tea for you on Freddie Freeman. So everybody knows the story. He comes back to Atlanta for the first time since the trade to LA last weekend, and things get so emotional that he actually had to leave out and come back into his presser, and really was emotional throughout the entire weekend, right? So everybody was wondering after that situation, what does this really mean in the general scheme of things? But everybody was a little hesitant to say it. And then all of a sudden, late Monday, we got word that Freddie Freeman had said bye to his agent. Bye. So he's still with XL Sports Management, granted. And he says that relationship is fluid based on what he shared with MLB.com. But Jarvis, we got thoughts. And now we probably have even more questions. So when you heard that word yesterday and you thought back to how this weekend transpired, what did that say to you in terms of what it means for the Dodgers, for the Braves, and for Freddie going forward?
You know what? To be honest with you, T, it started. I went back to the situation where right around the time where they were negotiating, and then right when it led up to his agent basically giving the Atlanta Braves an ultimatum. Now, for those of you who don't know how the Braves get down, Liberty Media, how they get down, and how they are very, very frugal when it comes to spending and money and paying players. And Alex Anthopoulos has done an amazing job of working under that secret budget, right? And I think for them, I just thought at that time, I just said to myself, I was like, man, the agent doesn't have any clue about what his client wants to do.
Right.
He doesn't understand what Freddie wants to do. Freddie wanted to remain an Atlanta Brave. And I started to question that a little bit as we're going through this process because, you know, the agent works for you, right? The agent works for the player. The agent represents the player. So the player relays the message saying, hey, here's what I want to go down. Here's what I would like. And I need you to try to get that. If you aren't able to get that, then you come back to me and have a conversation and say, okay, well, they're tripping about the 6 year, but they're going to give you the money. The money is going to be great because when you look at the Dodgers deal, I think it was what, like 50-some million of it is deferred, like over like the next 10 years or so or whatever, or however it's constructed.
Exactly.
So I'm just like I think the agent really, really failed Freddie. And I think that part of that falls back on him, right? Because like I said, like I mentioned earlier, he works for you. The agency works for you. They are supposed to try to get what you want accomplished. And if they are trying to, if you saying that you want that 6 year, but I'm willing to negotiate, given a company, a public company, which is Liberty Media, an ultimatum when it comes to the bottom line, that's a death sentence. And I think the evidence of that was the fact that how quickly they moved on because Alex Anthopoulos has to operate a certain way. He's not the boss. He's the boss, but he's not the boss. Boss. You know what? When you say boss twice, that means the money people, how they operate. That's how he has to operate. And I think that ultimately it came back to bite Freddie Freeman in the booty.
Yeah, and it seems like it was one of those situations where, and I'm going to give a small example that I know does not compare in the bigger scheme of things, but you make a good point. Say, for example, we're negotiating to purchase a home or a car, something on a smaller scale there, if you will. But then they always tell us, Jarvis, right? Don't let your emotions get ahead of you. Don't let your emotions get too involved. And I can imagine that maybe Freddie Freeman was going back and forth, kind of toiling with this. And then his agent went right in that lane that was really like a sore spot, a sticking point for Freddie, right? And that lane would be the 6th year. And so when you start looking at what the Dodgers bring to the table and what the Braves bring to the table, and here they are looking all like the shiny new car with that 6th year that you want. And here they are, all you've given to them, blood, sweat, and tears, and seemingly they're not working with you. The more that agent is chomping in that ear about that 6th year and other things, the more you're starting to say, well, maybe I should test out the waters because clearly this is not the place for me. So I can imagine that turmoil that may have happened. And we'll talk about what that further fallout is going to be with Freddie Freeman's decision. But first things first, you guys know that Jarvis and I have been talking to you about our weight loss journey and our wellness journey. And Jarvis, there's a wellness company out there that can help our audience to get right, just like we're trying to get right.
No doubt about it. Sakara is the get right company, right? They are a wellness company anchored in food as medicine on a mission to nourish your body through the power of plants. And there's an emphasis on plant-rich ingredients. So a lot of people are going vegan or however or what have you and not eating meat anymore. I haven't quite reached that threshold just yet.
Work in progress.
But I respect people who do that, and because it is all about helping boost your energy, supporting your digestive system, curbing your sugar cravings. Lord knows I have a lot of those. And get that skin right, T. You want to get your skin right. Women want to get the skin right. Check out Sakara, because they are, like I said, they are plant-rich ingredients. They are Sakara's functional plant-rich wellness essentials help you create a body you love living in because we're trying to get the bodies right. If you want to live longer, get your body right. Watch what you're putting into your body. And, and right now, this is just for you all, right? So listen closely. Sakara is offering 20% off for your first order. Your first order. You, as a listener of ATL Day Ones, all you got to do is go to sakara.com/lockedon20 or enter the code lockedon20 at checkout. That's Sakara, SAKARA.com/lockedon20 to get 20% off your first order. Sakara.com/lockedon20.
20% to get yourself right sounds like a perfect plan.
Easy math.
Combination.
Easy math.
It really is. That's a good deal for you. But we're not so sure, not just from a money perspective, but from an overall perspective, that the deal that Freddie Freeman took with the Dodgers was such a good deal for him because of all of the fallout that we've been talking about before, with him letting go of his agent, some of the comments that he's made, what we saw last weekend. So again, Jarvis, when you think about what you saw, have you been thinking about this all along? Like, was that the right move? And I'll even hit you with this one that someone hit me up with on social media a couple days ago, even before we knew about the termination of the agent. Does this signal that maybe there's a chance that Freddie could come back to Atlanta and be in a Braves uniform again down the road?
I think it's possible. I don't think that door will ever be closed, to be honest with you, because especially with the implementation of the DH in the National League, like why not? Because this is the type of guy that you don't have to worry about paying an exorbitant amount of money whenever he feels he's ready, or the Dodgers may say, "Hey, we're good with you," and they want to move on. So I think that that door will remain open because that's just the type of guy Freddie is, right? You saw about all of the emotion that he showed, and you've seen how some of his actions and starting to because you can make it a hard decision and be okay with it until you have to face it again, right?
Sure.
Because there's I had to make a decision on whether or not to move on from my previous job and whether or not it was good for me, and I think at some point I'm gonna have to come to meet that former that boss or meet my former whoever and say, okay, I felt like I made the right decision, and I feel like I made the right decision. I've come to that point, and I think that Freddie came to the conclusion once he came home and started seeing everybody and seeing all the people that he used to see on a daily basis, and then getting booed after the first at bat. He was like, man, golly, I probably should have found a way to stick around. Yeah. Here's how I can kind of rectify that. I can't go back now, but I sure can fire my agent because that's who I thought, handled the situation not how I wanted it to. And I think that, like I said, some of that is on the agent, and I think some of that is on Freddie Freeman as well. But I think that ultimately, Freddie probably will be in the Braves uniform.
Yeah, I do see that. And I saw that before we found out this revelation about letting go of the agent, but now more than ever, I feel like, don't know when that day will come, but I believe that day will come as well. And when you think about Dansby Swanson, absolutely, that's a situation that he's about to face, a crossroads that's going to be an interesting take on whether or not same management team and firm, different agent, of course, for Dansby, but whether or not he's going to have to deal with that kind of come to Jesus moment between that management team, the Braves, and him when his negotiations come up really soon. So we'll be watching to see how Dansby manages through that. When we come back, it's For the Culture, and we will talk to you guys about how we all became very familiar with the phrase, love should have brought your earth home last night. It's ATL Day Ones. We'll see y'all.
Final segment of ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. We just want to say thank you for rocking with us throughout the entire show. We are currently at 2,100 subscribers and rolling. Thank you so much for subscribing to the page. And if you haven't subscribed to our page, go ahead and check us out. Subscribe. And on the audio side, wherever you download podcasts, we are available, and we are ready for you to put that 5-star review into play because we are great, and that's why you're here. That's why you've been rocking with us. But Tenitra, this is For the Culture. It is the intersection between sports, entertainment, and the culture, and sometimes whatever the heck we want to talk about. And I think today is very fitting because it is the 30-year anniversary of the movie Boomerang coming out. And Tenitra, when you sent me this link, I looked at it, I read through it, checked it out. I immediately went back to when I first saw this movie. I didn't see it when it came out in the movie theaters. I was at one of my aunt's house, and we were sitting around. My mom was in the room, a couple of my cousins were in the room, and there was a certain scene in that movie that piqued my interest, and we're just gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
And I remember one of my aunts reaching over was like, Jarvis, cover your eyes. I'm like, what you talking about, Auntie? You know, I can see this stuff. You know, I'm old enough, but, you know, I don't know about you, but, you know, I think this was probably one of the more like really, really funny movie. And when you think about all of the names in that movie, T, like how, like, I don't even think they would be able to afford that movie if they were, they bring it out today.
Right. And this is a movie, this is one of Eddie Murphy's least profitable movies. That's the funny thing.
Right.
It actually started to gain appreciation and cult status long after it was released. Now it's iconic, and I don't know anybody who has not seen it. And if you have not, like me, I don't really watch movies, but I've seen this multiple times. If you haven't, we probably will take you a black card. But this is one of my favorite movies. When I see it, I'm channel surfing. I will stop and watch it regardless of where it is in the progression of the movie. But yeah, I loved it because I appreciated Halle Berry's character, because I'm kind of like the around the way girl, like the girl next door. You know, I wouldn't necessarily, I'm like your low key. You might not see the sexy right away, like with Robin Givens, but you're going to see it eventually. So I kind of like Halle Berry, that character, Angela. I could always appreciate Angela. And then also the camaraderie between the characters that Eddie Murphy, David Allen Greer, and Martin Lawrence played. I can remember the rooftop where they come together and, you know, Martin Lawrence's character is like, show me love, before they realize the house is burning down. So yeah, one of those amazing movies. And then, you know, from the rooter to the tutor and coordinate. Just, man, so many iconic moments in that movie. Now I'm just like, okay, that's going to be part of the binge watching I'll do during the upcoming holiday weekend.
No doubt about it. And T, when you think about the other side of it, right? So there's another side to this for the culture. Funkdafied, the album came out in 1994, which makes it 28 years old. And when you think about that album and the Brat dropping, you know, when she did, like the first female solo rapper to go platinum in 1994. Like that is an accomplishment, because when you think about 90s hip hop and, you know, and that genre, and it just how it was so male dominated. And when you think about like the male domination of it, right, who participated and then the people who listen to it are just so staunch about, I can't see a woman out here rapping and talking about and getting down the way, and then the way she presented herself, and it was just something that you had never really seen before. So I think that, and then you know who was producing that bad boy, Jermaine Dupri, the man himself was behind it as well. So I just think that, you know, we definitely have to celebrate the Brat for what she did back then today, because, you know, that was something that had literally never been done before.
Yeah. And we know that Brat tat is originally from the Chi. We get that, but she is an adopted Atlanta.
Cutting her teeth in Atlanta, though.
There you go. She is adopted and loved in this city, beloved in the city. Had an opportunity to meet her a couple years ago, because low key, Brat can act. Brat can act. So she was in, oh my God, I'm drawing, you know, having a brain freeze here, but it was Queen, you know, the Queen Latifah movie, Set It Off. So Set It Off, musical. And she absolutely stole the show, playing that role and making that role come to life. So just shout out to her for paving the way so many years ago to redefine what a female MC looks like. And man, that album was, and will always be iconic. Just like we hope one of these good days, ATL Day Ones is going to be iconic for what we do and what we bring to the table. And listen, once you check out this soon to be iconic, hopefully iconic show, make sure your second check on Locked On Sports Atlanta is hitting hard with John Chuckery. So for Jarvis, I'm Tenitra. We appreciate you guys, and go get funkified in them ATL streets. Be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?